Hi, and welcome to the personal side of business, where every business has a story. Welcoming Vince, also known as Marvelous Muncher on Instagram.
What's up, everybody? We're out here in Mission Gorge today. I'm at Cali Boys Deli inside of a liquor store. In one of my previous videos, someone said I need to come to this deli shop. That comment said to get the Philly cheesesteak as well as the buffalo chicken ranch. But unfortunately, they didn't have any steak today, so I wasn't able to get the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. But I did get some other tasty items: buffalo chicken ranch sandwich, chipotle chicken melt, and then I went with their new item, the Supreme Pizza Sub. The buffalo chicken ranch had grilled chicken, buffalo sauce, provolone cheese, lettuce, tomato ranch, salt and pepper.
Flaky and buttery croissants, rich and savory quiches, and a blueberry scone. You can find that all here at the French Oven Bakery in Scripps Ranch. The moment you walk in, it's a feast for the senses. Rows of freshly baked bread, sweet pastries that look like they belong in a dream, and an irresistible selection of breakfast croissants that had us drooling on sight. We got the rustic galette slice, another breakfast croissant, the creamy quiche Lorraine. It was soft, buttery, and one of the best quiches I've ever had. And for my sweet tooth crew, we got the caramelized goodness of the apple tartelette, the chocolate croissant, and of course the blueberry scone. This one was Chomp and Cheddar's favorite. Last but not least, we got the Nutella brioche, honestly needed more chocolate, and the almond croissant. This one was so good and flaky, it was hard to pick a favorite. If you haven't been to the French Oven Bakery yet, trust me, you're missing out. The spot is pure bakery heaven.
What's up, everybody? We're out here in Mission Valley today at Spill the Beans Coffee and Bagel Shop. They are an award-winning coffee shop with, I think, 5 locations. The bagels and the coffee are amazing. We got the Iced Blondie Mocha, the Iced Basic Stitch, and we also got the Iced Cinnabon.
Real tasty, real good.
Little hints of cinnamon in there, I like that one.
A little hint of spiciness.
They are known for the bagels. The San Diego, it's the bacon and white cheddar bagel. We got the McLovin when we added grilled onions inside of it. We have sausage patties with some cheese as well. They wanted us to try the build your own. It's their new Serrano habanero and jack cheese bagel with white truffle and Parmesan cream cheese. Different. You get the jalapenos in there, a little bit of spice with the creaminess from the avocado. You know I gotta try the McLovin. Sausage patties, cheddar, grilled onions, all on a French toast bagel right here. It really does taste like French toast. Kind of like a McGriddle. If you've never been to Spilled Beans before, I know you will love it. Most of all, don't forget, be marvelous. But they also have pastries.
I'm a social media manager and a content creator in San Diego. Vince has built his thriving marketing agency, growing his own Instagram page to over 70,000 followers while generating millions of views online for himself and his clients. He's worked with everything from restaurants to food brands to dental offices and real estate developers, helping them increase visibility, engagement, and revenue through strategic content creation. Today, we're diving into his journey, the business of social media, and what it takes to turn content into a career. Welcome, Vince.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell us about your journey from the beginning. What were you doing before this when you got...
Yeah, well, I was born in Germany as a baby, and my dad was. And I'm just kidding. I'm all the way back there. Well, before I was doing this, I actually was trying to get into. I got into dental school for about half a year. Well, like it was like a pre. So it was like a pre-schooling before dental school, like official dental school. This was in Colorado because I grew up in Colorado. So probably like 10. What is it? 2014. Yeah, 2014. About 11 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, so back then I thought I was gonna be a dentist. Went to school, went for like a semester, and found out that it just wasn't for me. I didn't do well. Got kicked out of the program, and I kind of was like, "Oh, geez, what am I gonna do now?" And then my cousin, who's like my best friend, always told me to come to San Diego because we had family here. We'd come at least once or twice a year, so we'd come. And then she finally was like, "Hey, why don't you just try it out?" And my parents were like, "Yeah, you have your bachelor degree, like go do whatever you want to do, right?" And so she kind of helped me find a job, and that's where it all started. And before I knew it, I was like already kind of creating videos online, like YouTube videos, like fun vlogs, different things like that. But I really love food. I mean, I love food up until like a lot of people, right? We all love food. But for me, it's more so kind of just sharing that story like we're doing today. It started off with me just like filming. I remember there was a poke spot in Anaheim, and I brought my little GoPro. It was like probably like GoPro 3 or whatever it was. And I was like filming through the glass case, and I thought it was so cool because like I edited it, put it online. I was like, wow, YouTube is really cool, right? And then it slowly led into me figuring out that businesses need content, right? From photos and videos, especially with everything going online. And then it led into me like offering it, like hitting them up, trying to meet the owners and saying, hey, I do this content. I can do it for you. Let me do it for you. And it led into me with opportunities with a lot of restaurant owners, and then even more businesses, because once they found out that you can do it, they're like, hey, can you do it for me and my business?
How long was that period when you started getting out of dental
Into
dental
this.
world into this? Yeah.
I was trying to get in dental school for like 3 years after, well, even during my undergrad. So that was like 3 years into it. So I was like 2014, 2015. 2015 was the year I moved here. So I moved here and then I worked for a property management company for a couple years. And then I was doing this on the side. And then I worked for property management for about 2 years. So it's probably in 2017. And then I quit that fully to do social media full time for clients and stuff. But what I didn't realize is that you need a lot more money than you think you need to
Yeah.
pursue it, right? And luckily I was living with my family, so my rent wasn't too high or anything like that, but I was able to do it for a few years up until COVID happened. And then once COVID happened, of course, the first thing with business is they cut marketing.
Yeah.
That's the very first thing they're going to cut. And so they cut it. And so I was like, well, I need to find a job. And luckily, my family has been in the military, so I was able to get a contracting job with the government for a couple of years. And then I was still doing this on the side. So even while I was working for a government company, I was still doing this. And then after that, I quit that job and I found a social media position with a dental company. So, like I said, I was trying to be a dentist, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like full circle. And I was still making content for dentists and things like that too. And then I did that, and after about a year and a half, they laid off the whole marketing team. And I just was like, I was talking to my wife. I was like, hey, can I just do this again? And obviously making money by that time. And she was like, yeah, why don't you just try it? And that was like October of 2023. And so ever since then, this is all I've been doing is content creation, social media management, learning more marketing, SEO, all of that stuff. So,
Do you think if she wasn't as supportive at that
Mhm.
time, it would have been different? Like, you think you would have gone into, okay, I'm going to play a little more safe and
Right.
go into something else?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, your partner plays a big part in what you
Yeah.
do, right? You always go to them for guidance. You go to them for support too. And if they're not supportive, it's like, you tell your wife or your partner, hey, can I do this? They're like, no, I don't support you. Then like for you, it's like it's already hard enough to do something, especially if you haven't done it before. And when you don't have that support, you're more likely not going to do anything, right? So, yeah, I would say so. She plays a big part in it.
And then when you were starting to flesh this out in your mind, what
Mhm.
were some of the steps that you were looking at? Did you just like, we're just going to go on whatever happens, or did you have a sort of plan that you were like, we're going to hit these types of businesses up first,
Yeah.
and we're going to do this? Like, what was the approach to this?
This was like after I got laid off.
Yeah.
Is that what we're referring
Yeah.
to? So from that point, I already had some dedicated clients. So I help different businesses with social media content already. So I was already I had two incomes going into it.
Okay.
Like I had my dental product company that I was working for, and then I also had like maybe like 6 or 7 clients that I was already doing work for already. And this was going on parallel, like they were happening together, right? And so I had money saved up at the same time, but then I compared both of the how much I was making, and it came to a point where I was making enough with what I was doing with all of my clients in order to still support me, support my wife, and obviously my wife works too, but we to be able to pursue it more. And so I think looking back at understanding that, hey, like if I can do this and if I just need to go harder in it. So instead of my time being split in between two, right? Now I can dedicate more time into reaching out to other restaurants, maybe other dental companies, honestly, any industry that I really want into, because I did work for some gyms in town as well. Just different, because everyone needs content.
You do a lot of your posts on helping the food and beverage industry,
Right.
right? What made you go into that direction a little bit more as you were doing more content?
I think it led into me knowing that I love food and beverage.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that was the
yeah.
biggest thing. Once you find something that you really love, it's kind of hard not to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like um I enjoy like we're doing today and telling a story. I like talking to owners before I go into a spot,
Yeah.
and I love just like getting to know them a little bit, why they started. I was at City Tacos yesterday. Plug City Tacos. And I was talking to he was a partner. His name is Israel. He was giving me the whole background. They've been around for 10 years. Have you been to City
Yeah.
Tacos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at the original spot in North Park yesterday, and we were talking, and we're like, they started 10 years ago. They have 8 locations. I didn't know they had 8 locations. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, what? Like that's awesome. And it gave me the background about the owner and like how he started. And I was just like, dude, just I feel like a lot of people see a store or they see a like a restaurant. They don't know the story. They just say, oh, that's an Italian restaurant, or that's my favorite ice cream shop, right? Salt and Straw. But they don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So we want to tell the whole story. And if I'm able to do that for businesses, that's what I enjoy doing for the most part.
Yeah, and I think the community is a big part of that, right? I think when you start to realize that these uh, businesses, it could be retail, food and beverage,
Right.
when they start to have a connection to the community, it's a little bit of a difference maker. You're like, I want to support this business. I want
Yeah.
to help them out. When you're going in there, or is there certain elements that you're looking for that you're like, this is going to be a good client? Like,
Mhm.
here's something that you've seen on their social media,
Yeah.
on their website, or whatever the food that you're like, this is going to be a good fit for me.
Yeah, usually if they don't do anything. So
Yeah.
if I look at their social media, I look at their website, and like, to be honest, it's not great, right? The website is slow. You can't find the menu easily. You go to their social media page, it looks like no one's posted in a year, 3 years. I think a lot of new business owners that aren't big on marketing don't understand the value of social media and putting new content online, whether that's social media or your website, right? And I know a lot of people, the flow usually goes, if we don't find you on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, we'll go to try to find you on Google through your website, right? We go to your website, look through your stuff, see how that is. And usually if we find you on Google, let's say primarily find you on Google, I I think people always go from Google, they look for your social media, and then they kind of go through like that kind of circle, right? Your website, Google, into social media, like that whole circle. And if you don't have things updated and consistent, people aren't going to think you're in business half the time. You don't know how many times I came across a restaurant, and I was like, is this place in business? Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
online, and
I've seen
there
it.
was one specifically, dude, like I was like, I literally had no idea. And I called, so I called the website number, and then a dude picked up. He was like, hello. And I was like, and there's no customer service. He wasn't like, oh, this is me. Like, I'm Sal with yada, yada, yada. He was like, hello. And I was like, is this place? He goes, yeah. And I was like, okay,
Right.
like, what do you like? You
Yeah.
like, I feel like there's, and I guess some business owners are just so focused on their product
Right.
and what they're
Agreed.
doing, right? That's all they can do. So,
And then what would you say to a business owner that's like reluctant, right? They're just like, you know what, this isn't important enough to me. I need to focus on this, just running the business.
mhm.
It's running itself enough that keeps everything afloat. How is your approach to go in there and say, okay, I can take this business and kind
Right.
of lift it up with this
Yeah.
type of marketing?
Yeah. So a lot of the times it's prior results that I've gotten for business owners. A lot of the times if I reach out and they say yes, they kind of know exactly what I'm gonna do. There hasn't been, like, I don't think I've ever gone into a spot blindfolded and been like, hey, like, I do this, let me do some content, right? I've never really done that before. It's always been me trying to reach out, or I'll just go and do the content, not really meet anybody, look at the history online, and then talk about it in a video, post it. Then I'll get a connection with the restaurant. Um, and then sometimes when you see the content, they'll be like, oh wow, this was worth it. Because, for example, this past week I did a video for one restaurant, and he wasn't really talking to me. Like, he was answering me on Instagram here and there, but not really like a dedicated conversation. And then he saw the video and it did well. And then he goes, wow, man, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, all of these things. And I asked him, I was like, how much percentage increase did you get in the last few days after the video? He goes, honestly, it went up about 20-25% in a weekend
Wow.
from one video, right? One video. And like, for me, hearing that and seeing that, it's so beneficial. And I feel like if other restaurant owners, other businesses in general understood that, they would be like, okay, we need to be consistent with it. I don't know if you follow this page. It's called, it's this lady, her name's Judy's Family Cafe. I think she's in Illinois or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
She does funny videos, dude.
Oh
Funny
no,
vid-
I do. I know.
You know what I'm
exact-
talking about?
It's so funny that
It's-
you say that because
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, it's
yeah.
so funny, and it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. Short videos, but it's another video said they analyzed it, and I think she generated over, I think almost like 400 million views or something like that
Yeah.
in like 2 years, if a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And it boggles my mind, right? I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd have to pay for all those eyeballs, right? And there's some people going in because of those videos, right? There's a reason she keeps doing it
Yeah,
over and over
yeah.
again. And so I just wish more business owners understood it, because there's so much value in it, right?
Yeah.
So much.
Tell me if you feel the same way. When I was looking at watching those videos, right, I
Mhm.
got the sense that so her personality's, it's fun. She's willing to be a good sport about
Yeah.
it. But I felt like someone that she knows was like, hey, let's just try this,
Right.
and then start to do something different,
Right.
and it started just snowballing and became this thing.
Right.
So when you're looking at businesses like that, can you tell who's helping out, if it's like professionally done or it's just someone inside the shop that's doing that?
Yeah.
Is there certain levels that you start to pick apart and go, okay, this is where I
Yeah.
think it's time for me to try to reach out to them, step in?
I think it all depends. Sometimes it can be either way, right? You see content that could be done by the owner itself, but also could be done. Usually, if it's super professional, then that means they hired someone, like they have an agency or they have they have someone doing it for them. But for the most part, if it's like just relative, like iPhone content, and sometimes iPhone content can be really
Yeah.
good, but there's a difference between professional and iPhone content. And so, and sometimes people have, like, sometimes a business owner will just have a professional camera, right? So I think even just that's why I feel like I am able to reach out to or connect with more restaurant owners because they see my food page first and they're like, okay, we know what this guy is doing. We see his following. Then it leads them into a conversation. If you're going in with nothing and you can't show anybody anything, if you're a business owner, you're not going to be like, oh, like, who are you? Right? Like, it's kind of like my portfolio. Like, this is what I've done so far. And then if you look at this, you're more likely going to say yes to me because, or have a conversation with me because you see what I've done already.
And what point was it where you were doing sort of just doing the content,
Yeah.
and then you finally walked in there and go, okay, I feel really strong. If someone were to look at all the content I've done now, restaurant owners, like for the most part, they're going to say yes, right?
Yeah.
Was there a point that you felt that was pretty solid?
I think I think it's even easier now, to be honest, because as time has gone on, only more and more people are on social media, right? Business owners that weren't on there 5 years ago, now they're like, okay, let's push it, let's go. I think it's once you're able to show off that portfolio easily, like you get to a certain amount of followers, you're always gonna have a conversation because they're not gonna want to ignore you, right? Especially if you just go and saying, hey, can I do a free video for you? Maybe for a trade, or maybe just like let's have a connection, let's have a conversation. You're more likely to get it because you have something to show for it.
Yeah.
So if you're looking, like even business owners, right? Like if you want to connect with another mentor, let's say you have a mentor, right? A way of getting into them is showing that having a portfolio of what you've done before and saying, hey, like this is what I've done. Can I have a conversation with you? Can I talk to you? Like I don't want to say followers are super important, but it definitely does help.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
changes the game for you.
It
I mean,
does.
they walk in there. But what if someone who doesn't have that followers? What would your advice be to them?
So, like for example, if I was in context to me, you know, doing video work, doing content creation, I would always offer something free first. So build up your portfolio by going in there. Like if you're a restaurant owner, hey, I just want to do free content. Can I just do something so I can build my portfolio? Give it back to you. You can use it, but I'm just really trying to become better, right? And then maybe you can leave me a review. So afterwards, if you really like it, and so you kind of just build that up, go to a bunch of people, and see what happens. Because if you don't, like, how else are you going to get it? I'm not going to believe you if you have zero work to show for it, right? So once you have that in the bag and people know what you're doing and how, like, who you are, it's way easier to get in. Way easier.
Is there a threshold that you feel like a beginner should hit in a lot of different metric areas before they start to be like, I'm going to start charging now? You know,
Like in the context to what? Like
followers,
Yeah.
amount of posts, you know, the quality. Like, are there a lot of things coming, especially from your marketing side, that you're like,
Yeah.
you should hit these things before you start to ask for
Yeah.
X amount of dollars?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, from the amount of people that I hit up and the amount of people say yes to me, say no to me, I don't think there is, right? It just depends on who they're talking to, right? Like if you're an owner, you know, you need, you want someone who has a big following. Maybe a big following to you is 5,000 people, right? And you don't know any better and they want to charge $100. You're like, yeah, let's do it. That's low, by the way. That's super low. But I'm saying that like once you feel confident enough to ask for money, ask for it. The worst thing you can say to me is no, and then I'll go to another person, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we're all, to me, it's the same thing, right? People hit me up all the time. Hey, can you do this work for me? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's like, okay, like I will come out, but then know that there's a fee attached to this because we're not just, especially me, I'm not going in anymore just as someone who's, what do you call it? That's just there for fun, essentially, right? Like this is my business. There's a reason I'm trying to promote you to get you more business. So this is my goal. And if that's my goal with my expertise, I want to do a good job for you. Of course, there's going to be a fee with it. I wouldn't ask you to come out to my place and do free work, right? So,
and is there a cadence that you have, like how many times you're hitting up places a week, or how many you should, or for your business, how many times you should be doing it in order to keep the revenue going?
With from what I hear, right, we should all aim for like 100 a day. The most I've got to is like 130 a day. I know if I was more consistent with it, I'd get more business. But obviously you have different obligations, things like that going on. But honestly, as much as you can, right? There's no exact cadence because you don't know. There was an average that I've been learning. I forgot what the average was, but if you do a certain amount, you're going to get at least one or two that come into the door and generate leads, all of that stuff, right? And so I think it's just doing more. So whatever you're doing now, if you want more, you got to work harder. You got to get more.
And when you were doing that in the beginning, was there?
It's not the beginning. It's today.
No. But when you were before you got to where you are now, and was there like a business plan that you wrote out and go, okay, I'm gonna have to hit these numbers in order to make this salary for myself over time, or was this like I'm gonna put my nose down, just keep going?
Yeah. Honestly, just keep going. Business plan wise, I think my business plan has always been just to work hard. Like I never had a set, okay, I need to do 100 a day. I know I should, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the biggest thing is when we want to get to a certain level, we don't know how hard it's going to be to get there. We don't know what it's going to take, but we have that goal in mind. So we try to do stuff every single day to get there. And as long as you're doing something every single day, like for me, like I post once or twice a day. And for me, and sometimes it's reposts, right? Because I have that content built up. People hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, that's too much. I can't do that. But it's like, I've been doing it for a long time. So I have all of the content, I have everything there that I can repost because I have it, right? I can post that stuff. So if you can't, start with one and once a week, then go to 2, go to 3. I will say the more the better.
Is there ever fear for you that you're posting too much? Does
No.
that ever happen? Okay.
Before I would say yes. And now like just like mental health, I only want to do once or twice a day. There was one time I was doing 3 a day, and that was hard.
But 3 separate locations?
No, well, it's not location. It's more so like what I would do is I would shoot a bunch of videos and then just kind of have it sporadic, like split up.
Okay.
And then, have it to post sometime. But I've been seeing a lot of different content now where you can do simple short videos.
Yeah.
It can be just behind like trending music, or, you can make it different variations. My content is very specific of me talking to a camera. And I feel like I need to switch that up to help me out a little bit. But you kind of just find your own method and you go with it.
And then can you speak to the health side of it, right? So I watch your videos. I mean, I think as a viewer, you're like, man, he eats a lot, but there's probably a professional way to go about doing this.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a professional way. It's more like you just got to stop, you better stop yourself. Otherwise you'll be like 500 pounds, right? For me, it's always been a struggle. Like I've always been like somewhat overweight ever since I was a kid, right? So it's always been an ongoing thing, up and down. And so I think now it's just, hey, I can take a few bites and then that's it. Save it for later. Bring it home. Bring it to your family, your friends. Like try to share it. Because I mean, you don't have to finish everything. I'm not like a professional eater where I have to kill the whole thing, right? That whole dish is probably 1,000 calories, 2,000 calories. I don't need to finish the whole thing. Although sometimes it is hard, I will say. When it's really good, you're like, oh, this is so good.
I've seen some videos. I'm like, there's no way I would have stopped at just the wings.
Right.
Keep
it going around.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to do like longer form YouTube videos where I try every single dish. And even sometimes I'm like, dang, I'm so full, but I want to eat more, right?
Yeah.
And so you just have to stop. You have to exercise. And I think it's like mental clarity too, right? Like even before this, I went for a run, and it's like you have to do things that balance out certain things. So if you know you're going to eat a lot, maybe that day, eat less in the morning and have the other one as your bigger meal, right? Or make sure you dedicate, you're consistent with exercising, where you're weightlifting, you're running, doing whatever you like, but you have to get exercise in order to do this kind of thing. Because honestly, if you're just eating all of this food, because it's heavy, right? Sometimes it's greasy, sometimes it's like, there's so much oil in all of these things. And if you're just eating this all the time, you're going to feel sluggish. You're not going to be able to you're not going to be on your A game. And when you're trying to do content, you have to be on your A game, So
was there a period where it actually hit you physically? Like you were like, well, I need to sort of make a life change in terms of the back end to exercise more or cut this down? Or in the beginning, were you just eating everything?
I would say, honestly, it was fairly recent. I think once my page started building up and getting a lot more like followers and more engagement, I was like, yo, I need to do more. And so obviously that involves me eating more. I think I feel like sometimes I just need to do what other people do and just like film the food, and then that's it, right? And just like film them. Like, okay, cool. I don't have to eat those. I don't have to eat the calories, but that's not me. But I think it's like even within the last year or so, it's been like, okay, something needs to change, because even though I'm growing steadily, I need to switch this up because I can't keep going on this trajectory. You know,
right.
Like I said, the mental health specifically, like you want to feel sharp, you want to be able to have good conversations. If you feel sluggish and stuff, it's really hard to have these conversations.
Yeah, I always thought that there was one point I was watching your videos that I thought that maybe you might be like chewing and like spitting them out just to be able to keep up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I've never done that.
Okay.
I can never spit out food. I think it's like a blessing and a curse, man. My parents always said, hey, you got to finish your food, right? And I think even till now, that's why when I hear that people don't even take food home, like after, a restaurant, and I can't. I have to take it home.
Yeah.
Whether that's me taking it home and eating it or giving it to my family, or even that you see someone that's asking for food, right? Then you can give it to them also, right? There's other things you can do with it, but it's like, if you worked hard, if you're you're a restaurant owner and you worked hard to make me this food, I will do everything I possibly can to either eat it all or make someone else enjoy it, or just like I said, even give it away, right? Because it's good, so.
Has taste guided you in where you want to go now? Like if you're like, I want to go towards this type of food because I love it. As opposed to something else. Has that started like subconsciously pulling you in a certain direction?
I try not to in the way that everyone likes something different, right? Like you and I both have different favorites. And I try to just show off everybody's business because everyone likes what they like,
Yeah.
right? You might like Indian food. I might hate Indian food, right? And so even though it's not good to me, doesn't mean it won't be good to you. So who am I to say, nah, this is terrible? You know, when you love it, you'll be like, no, this is really good, right? But if I let that stop me, at least this is how I look at it. If I let that stop me, then I'm missing out on sharing someone else's story. And so if there's other people that would just want to hear that story of who that restaurant owner is or who that business owner is, I'm not doing my job or my goal in sharing everyone's stories and helping spread the word of good food because like I said, we have different tastes. Everyone has their own opinion. So
Have business owners started reaching out to you outside of like referrals and things like
mhm.
that? Is that has that percentage grown over the years?
Yeah, yeah. I think as it now it's at least I would say once or twice a day. Like
Wow.
I get somebody hitting me up, say, hey, can you come to my restaurant? Can you come check this out? Right. And
And that's unbeknownst to them what the actual ROI is, right? They're
yes,
just like,
yes, just come out.
I'm good enough seeing
Right.
your posts, and
Mhm.
I think that's gonna make a difference.
Because I think for the most part they know it's going to benefit it's going to benefit their business, and so they're like, yeah, can you please come out, right? And I think and that's different than me. And to be honest, like no one really pays. Like let's like it happens sometimes. It doesn't happen. You'll see it. Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as often as I think people would think.
Yeah.
But because when people reach out, they don't want to. They just want to trade food for the work. And so I think once they see my following, they see the numbers. They're like, can you come out for free, please? Can I give you my food for free? And sometimes it's a yes. A lot of the times it's a no, right? Because I'll go out to restaurants and I'll buy it. Like
Yeah.
I still enjoy doing that because if there's like I feel like there's still a lot of hidden gems out there
Yeah.
that's not on social. They don't want to get on social, but then there's a spot in Vista called Jam Pinoy, another plug, and they're good. They are Jamaican and Filipino. So they don't fuse the dishes together, but
Yeah.
the fact that you can get Jamaican food
Wow.
along with Filipino food is like very different, right? And so, and I don't know if yeah, maybe they had hand rolls or something, not hand rolls, empanadas, and maybe they do there. But what I'm saying is that not a lot of people know about that place because they don't have a good website and they're not on social. So someone recommended me, hey, can you go to Vista and try this place out? And I was like, it sounds interesting. Let me go. And it was good. The food was really good. So it's like there's a lot of hidden gems, and I don't let that stop me if a restaurant owner doesn't reach out or anything like that. I'll still go.
Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about the journey of when you started announcing this and letting your family know? Because I'm assuming that your family, they were really happy you were going to dentistry,
Mhm,
right? They were like,
mhm.
oh, my son's
My
gonna
parents,
have,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah.
gonna be getting into this great career, and
Yeah.
then you were like, by the way, we're gonna do something really risky, the opposite. What was that conversation like?
So it wasn't what happened was in between, like I said earlier, in between me becoming a dentist to like working a temp job, working for a property management company, then getting hired, I was still having a full-time position until I knew I can make it work, right? Like I wasn't just jumping saying, "Hey, I don't want to forget having a job. Like I'm just going to go after this." Like no, there was definitely some either savings that I had or some money I had so I don't have cuz I don't want to depend on anybody, right? Like my
Right.
parents have been very supportive. All they really want me to do was get my bachelor's. So once I got that, they were kind of like, "Okay, do you want to be a dentist?" So I tried. Obviously, they helped me like pay for stuff during that time period. Didn't work out, and then even afterwards they were very supportive. Like my parents were living in Colorado while I was here. Before they moved out here now, but um I would say after I got my bachelor's, they were just super supportive of whatever I really wanted to do, as long as I had money, right? Like they always, as a parent, you're always gonna worry about your kid, but they would always, "Are you good? Are you sure you're good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So, um,
Man, I mean, it's pretty incredible that you have a supportive system in
mhm.
almost every direction.
Yeah,
That right? I think that's hard. I think especially for minority families
mhm.
to do that because you're like you almost made it to the promised land in like some sort of medical field, right?
Right,
You're
right,
like,
right,
you're
right.
there, and then now
Yeah.
doing something risky. Did they understand this sort of venture that you were going into? Did they were like, yeah, we get it,
Yeah.
or you were just like, just trust me, I'll explain to you when
Yeah,
I make
afterwards.
money. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was definitely more of a hobby thing at first, and I think they just saw it as a hobby. It definitely does help that people, like all of their friends, say that they see my videos. People like my dad, my dad's work, his coworkers, they always bring it up, and they're like, "Hey, when is he gonna come in? We want to meet him." Because they didn't believe, because my dad's half white, so him and I don't look too similar. Like I look more like my mom. So they wouldn't believe him at first, and then until they saw a photo, and they were like, "Oh, that is your son." I was like, "Yeah, it's my dad." And so I've been there a few times, but there's a few people that want me to go there and just say hi and stuff like that. So my dad's been asking me to go.
Wait,
So,
did they
but
think that he was just saying you were the
something like
son.
that. It's funny because like my dad's half white, and so he doesn't. We like I'm super brown, so like
Yeah, yeah.
we look different. But yeah, they didn't believe him at first. Yeah,
What do your parents do?
my mom's a nurse, Filipino.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and then my dad, he retired from the army like maybe 10 years ago now, and then now he
Oh.
works. He is a honestly, I don't know. He does something for the government. He still works on base,
Yeah, yeah.
but he does something for the government now.
But,
So
but I mean, that's really interesting that they went into like areas where I feel like when you get in something with media, it's totally different
Mhm.
than this, right?
mhm.
Yeah. Now, when you guys have a conversation, does it feel different when you're like talking about your business?
With them,
Yeah.
they don't understand. Oh well,
Yeah.
my mom understands a little bit more, but my dad will ask me every so often, "What do you do again?" but I think it's just because right
Yeah.
he doesn't get exactly, but he
Yeah.
gets like he's seeing more of it, and now that he's on social media, my parents were on Instagram. What are they doing on
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
But they recently like they got on social media, and so they kind of see more, and on top of their friends bringing it up to them, like yeah, they see it more often than not. And so yeah, my parents send me like videos all the time now. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the trajectory of parents? Like they start
kids are pulling them
right,
into
They
this.
get in social media, they send the videos. I'm like, oh goodness.
Now, what do you think is going to be the changes that are coming from social media?
Mhm.
Like I feel like just from a layman's perspective, we went from sort of a Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, and
Mhm.
do you feel like it's going to start to develop into other areas, and then would that enhance your business?
Mhm. I think it's only going to grow more on all of those platforms. So regardless if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok or YouTube, like you the only thing is that it can enhance your business as long as you're using it right. And I think you just have to learn how to use it in order to make your business better. I think for me personally, it's only going to help me grow more, right? Like there's videos that I think like 6 months ago I posted, and they still get views and likes today, and it's random, right? It's not consistent, but I'll see someone comment on a video that was like months ago, and I'm like, oh, you guys are seeing this video now, and so you don't know who's going to see it and when they're going to see it, but you don't know if that's going to convince a person to come out, right? So if you're a business owner and you're trying to do this content stuff, just post something. Just get used to the method of posting, because you don't know who's going to come in because of it, right? What if it turns to a really big client for you, and it was all because of one video that they saw led them into your website or your social media page more, they went down the line and they're like, hey, we would love for you to come out. Like that's pretty much what happens to me when a restaurant owner or business owner sees my stuff. That's kind of the trajectory that they go. They see a video, they like what I do, then they go down everything like, wow, okay, let me reach out, right? So um
And is there something that you've noticed in your work that's maybe influenced you over time that's like this seems to work more than
mhm.
other ones? Or there's certain key elements that you're like, the more I try this, the more it keeps working.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything like that?
I think with me, it's always been like talking to the camera videos, to get very specific, because for me, I think people know me for my face
Right.
and for my personality, right? And I think, and there's some people who don't like. There's popular pages who don't put their face at all, and that's perfectly fine for them, right? Maybe they don't want to and stuff, but for me, I feel like it builds a stronger relationship with them, with my viewers, and they want to see that, right?
And there's
They,
one you, right?
yeah,
Like
there's
no one
only
else.
one
Yeah.
me. Right, right. There's a bunch of foodies out here doing content, which is awesome, but they can't be me because I put my face in everything, right? I can steal someone else's content, and yeah, they can say, "Oh, that's mine," and yeah, it probably is theirs. But then if they don't put their face on it or put a time like their name on it or whatever, it can be taken. And but I just think for me, it just builds a deeper relationship, and I like that.
Do
So.
you start to suggest that to certain business owners too,
Mhm.
have their customers or clients connect to them more?
Yeah,
Is that
all the
something?
time, all the time. And I think content now specifically for businesses is fun, engaging content, right? So
Yeah,
it's like skits, it's like little things like that, because
yeah,
it's entertaining, right? And people want to be entertained. And once you put a face on there, I feel like, well, it's not. I feel like it develops a human like connection more so than anything else. Everything we're looking through our phone, but if I see your face on it, I'm like, oh, there's Jet, right?
yeah,
Compared to, oh, there's Jet's logo,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
So I think overall it helps.
And do you see that in a lot of people's contents where you wish like you're like this is going to be the defining difference, right? If you were to connect that with something more personal in that business as opposed to someone just showing food all the time, right?
hmm
Do you start to now have a quicker eye to go
hmm
through like Instagram and be like, this is what's the difference that
Yeah, yes, I do. I think it's funny because I think over time, I've only gotten better with it because I see it all the time. I remember, I think this was back in 2017, 2018. This person who had a way bigger following than me was like, "Hey, your photos are kind of blown out," and I thought to me that was cool, right? And I was like, "Really?" I looked at it and I compared hers. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And so I think looking at that stuff and just kind of because I like to do videography and
Yeah.
photography too, so kind of those skill sets all play into the fact of building better content, right? I was actually coming here and I was looking at somebody else's page and how they post stuff and how clear and focused it
Yeah.
is. And I'm like, I wish more people were trying to improve their content, at least to get to that level, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of baseline.
Yeah.
It should look clear, it should look focused, it should be bright enough. People shouldn't be able to guess what's going on. Not too many crazy transitions because you're like, what is going on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, different things like that I look at.
But that's pretty cool that someone reached out to you to be like, I want to help you out.
Right. This was back in like 2017, 18. I just remember looking at my DMs and this lady was like, "Hey, this is kind of blown out." And I was like, "Really?" I thought it was cool. I thought it looked good. And I looked at it again. I was like, "Okay, maybe I can bring down the brightness, bring down the saturation and contrast, you know?" So
Do you ever do that yourself and kind of reach out once in a while to someone else and be like, hey, this might help your page out a little bit?
no, not really. I feel bad. Like if unless someone asks for my advice,
Yeah.
if they're like, "Hey, can you look at my video and tell me what I can do better?" Then sure.
Yeah.
But I don't like to reach out and be like, "Yeah, this isn't focused, dude," or like, "You need to switch this up. This is ugly," you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that person has to put an active effort in it, and if they're not looking for that advice, they're only gonna be like, "Whatever. I don't believe what you have to say.
Yeah.
I don't care what you have to say."
And do you foresee yourself staying in uh, food, or would you like to ideally one day maybe start to branch out, have another type of Instagram or something that deals with another industry?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been doing dentistry, like dental content for a long time as well. A lot of medical stuff, like I did chiropractors too. Like, I think content in general is the same across the board, where you need to do content. You need to do talking head videos. You need to like give value to your clients, to your patients that are seeing you online. It's the same ideas. It's just different industries. So a lot of the content that can be applied to one can be applied to the others as well. And it should be, right? If you're a business, you need to be on social media. Like there's no way around it now. People would want to follow you, and that's like your quickest direction to your customer, you know, like is posting on social media.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And how has your business grown over the years in terms of like, were you doing everything yourself before, or now are you starting to outsource things? Like, how does that all
Yeah.
work?
I started outsourcing a couple years back, not for everything, but a lot of like my talking head videos. I have a video editor that I use for that
Okay.
because I still send them like 3-4 videos at one time. Like today, like yesterday, I filmed 2 yesterday, and I don't have the capacity to sit down because they take at least 2 hours,
Yeah.
at least 1 to 2 hours to film it to get to the point that I want. And him and I have been working together for about almost 2 years now, and he has it down where it feels like me, you know, and
Wow.
it has to get to that point, so you have to build that with that person. But I think you need to do it in order to scale and grow a business, because if you don't, you can't do everything on your own, right? Why so want to do different things, you can't sit down and edit, because the edit can take, unless you get really good at it, it's
Yeah.
gonna take a while.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the things. It's like part of it is giving up control too, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and then you're like, I love this narrative, but I'm like, I also like my 2-3 hours of time.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Did you have to have that conversation with them to be like, this is how I like things, or when you found him, you're like, I like his style, and I'm gonna just let it organically work with mine?
Yeah. With him specifically, we worked at that dental products company together for a little bit. He was like a contractor. And so after that, his contract ended with them, I was already laid off. So he reached out to me because he knew I did a lot of videos, and he was like, "Hey, can I like film some stuff for free, or can I edit some stuff for free?" At first I was like, "Yeah." And then that led into him giving me his costs. He gave me a lower cost, and then we built that again, and then now he charges me his full. Okay. But yeah, just like you have to build that with the person. He already saw his editing style, so I kind of knew that he could do what a lot
Yeah.
of video editors, they can replicate, if they're good, they can replicate what you want. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to get somebody in the door and you say, "Hey, should I use this person?" Show them your content and be like, "Can you replicate this? And then can you show me how you're going to do this?" Basically, like, give me an example that looks similar to my style, right? Because I think you have to, especially if it's you have to find someone that's going to match that. And
Yeah.
so that the only way you can is if you try with a few people. I would say use Fiverr and Upwork, different things like that. That'll help out people too, like to find a good video editor.
Was how long did you look before you found him?
He came to me.
Oh,
I actually
like
had
that.
I had another one before him that I still use here and there, but that's what I'm saying. Like Upwork and Fiverr, that's
Yeah.
where I found the previous ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you find someone that really wants to work with you and really and is staying with it, um, yeah, I mean the possibilities are endless. Like you can film so many videos and just send it to them.
Yeah.
Because we only have so much time in a day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it helps to find people to send stuff to, and no one really knows, right? Like it shouldn't even matter to people online, really. Like with people who scroll, they don't care who edits it, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And kind of wrapping up, what are some of your goals for, 2025 and beyond?
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for in the business sense from your business?
Yeah. For me, it's just always to get more clients, help more people, essentially get more clients. You know, like I feel like there's just so many people out here still aren't doing the social media content, and if they are, there's some things that they're missing or they're not doing it right. And doing it right doesn't involve hiring like a content agency, right? That just involves you doing more work, right? Whether that's you doing more research and you figuring it all out. But obviously, you don't want to figure it out. You don't have the time. That's when you hire like an agency to do it. But for me, it's more so just like help trying to spread the word of helping more people, trying to let them know, hey, you can achieve anything that you want to with content and your business. A lot of it is just the fact that you're not doing anything at all online, right? I actually looked at the content that I was doing yesterday or last night, and I was because I do a social media, I do like a content agency, right? But a lot of times I just only post food stuff, but I have clients that I help stuff out with. So I'm thinking, how can people find more? How do people know that I do social media content unless they actually look at my stuff, right? You only see me for food, but I'm like, nah, I actually have this whole other thing. So I know even for me, I have to talk more about it. I have to do different content videos about it too. I have a marketing page. I have marvelousmarketing.online, but I only just repost my food stuff because I haven't done other content for that page in a long time. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Vince. Let people know how they can find you.
Marvelous Muncher on Instagram. Usually, I mean, if you just message me on there, I'm going to respond. So that's the easiest way to connect with me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool,
cool.
man.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Let's do something, man.